Excuse me, we don't move this just a little bit better. Now,
Now, like it, you can't sleep again.
that's about the best of it.
All right, Brian. What we call dinner on the phone.
That is probably best.
336-639-8064.
Hey, Ben, it's the board.
Okay, say something.
Something.
Okay, I can hear now. I'll turn the sound off with my video.
Okay. Let's see how we. You hear us? What was the number again, Kathy?
Okay, listen. I'm gonna.
My phone got interrupted with a message. Let that put down again.
Okay.
Okay, we need to call the meeting to order. The chairman is out of town. He's joining us via telephone. And Noah Reed is our secretary. He can do the, conduct the meeting, or he has before delegated his duties to Dorothy. Everhow.
Dorothy, do you mind? Thank you.
Okay, this is September the 29th, 2020. We are at the Board of Elections, and I call to order the Alamance County Board of Elections meeting. You have before you a copy of the agenda for today. So we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded, the agenda be approved. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed and signify by saying no. Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we're down to number 2, and that's the director's information to the board. So we call on our director, Ms. Kathy Howard.
I'd like to go over the COVID policy for the Board of Elections board meetings. We've had a brief discussion about that. You'll have your temperature checked, you will wash your hands, you will use hand sanitizer, you'll stay 6 foot apart, you'll wear your mask. And if you have any concerns as far as health issues, if you have a temperature or whatever, you need to let us know before board meetings so that you can remote it. And as long as we have a 3-member quorum, we're okay. And it's 2 members, in other words, couldn't have 3 Democrats, you have to have at least 1 from another party. So the next thing I'd like to go over with you is a PowerPoint that was provided by our district representative from the state board. And it talks about the memos that I have sent to you, particularly memos 2019 and 2025, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to go ahead and go over that. Talks about the deficiencies, and this one was updated. I think it's last week. Federal court order required that the State Board of Elections adopt a policy with due process for voters whose ballots would not otherwise count. That provides process by which voters can cure the deficiencies with their absentee ballot envelope. It modifies the prior version of that memo, the one that was updated. If there's no signature verification, there are two types of deficiencies. The deficiencies with the curable, with the certification, which they provided us the format for that, and deficiencies that require the ballot to be spoiled. Deficiencies that are curable with a certification. The voter did not sign their voter certification. The voter did sign, but in the wrong place. The witness or assistant did not print their name, address, or did not sign. The witness or assistant signed on the wrong line, or the envelope is blank. What? The cure certification is signed, but the voter is not witnessed.
He's watching it online.
Hey, Ben, turn your volume down on the computer.
Ben, turn your volume down on the computer. You're bleeding through to the meeting, sir.
I think that mutes.
That mutes you, not him.
Yeah.
Ben, can you hear us?
Oh, so it's coming back in?
Yes.
Oh, go to mute. I just wasn't muted.
Thank you, Ben.
It's about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, thank y'all for being patient. Address issues as far as deficiencies. The witness may list residential or mailing address. No cure affidavit is needed if the witness address is incomplete, but you can determine the correct address. Examples of that would be
Yes, I can hear.
the zip code is missing. The state is
I could
missing.
not hear on the phone. I can
Okay,
hear on the computer.
well, Ben, we can hear you now. Kathy is presenting.
The city is missing, but the zip isn't included. The city and zip are missing, but you can determine the correct address. For example, if the voter lists a prominent street address in your town, and there is not another street with that name in the county. In other words, Falls of the News Road, if they, don't put it in. So deficiencies that require ballot to be spoiled would be upon arrival at the County Board of Elections office, the envelope is unsealed. Or the envelope indicates that the voter is requesting another ballot. We've had several of those where they make a mistake and they send out for another one. Okay, is there any questions so far on that? Okay, voter notification. We'll contact the voter within 1 business day of identifying the deficiency. We send the cure certification or a new ballot as directed by the memo. We will notice the voter in 2 ways: to address where the voter requested the ballot to be sent, or by email. If no email is on file, we can call the voter. We've had instances where we don't have an email, don't have a phone number either. So if prior to the revision of this memo, the County Board of Elections, a county board reissued a ballot, and updated memo now allows the deficiency to be cured by certification, the county board must contact the voter by mail or email or phone to explain the procedure has changed and that the voter now has the option to submit a cure instead of a new ballot. Receipt and review of cure certification. Okay, the cure certification must be received here in our office by 5 o'clock on Thursday, November the 12th. It can be submitted by the voter by fax, email, in person, or snail mail. They may only be returned by the voter, the near relative, or match. Same people that could get the ballot would be the people who could return the cure. The voter must use the cure certification sent to them, which will include their name, their address, and the CIV number, that identifying number for the ballot, that will be on their cure letter. The county board will approve the ballot envelope if the cure certification is returned and it contains the voter's name, signature, or mark. If no certification is received, cure certification is received by Canvas, the county board will disapprove the envelope. Late absentee ballots. Voters can cure a late ballot. Cannot cure a late ballot, thank you. If the ballot is late, it is received after 5 o'clock on election day, or if it is postmarked on or before election day and is received by 5 p.m. 3 days after the election. Upcoming memos. These are something, I didn't tell you this in our procedures, but from this day forward, your emails that I contact you with, you need to check those emails every day. We are in a constant flow of information, of directives, and it's not something you can wait 2 or 3 days, a week without going. You're going to need to check it once or twice every day. Some things I need for you to respond to me immediately, and I'm sorry, I have had the procedure in the past to try to call you individually. I just don't have that time, and I apologize. So I will be either sending you group texts or group emails. Probably not text, because that's just too much trouble. Be on the email. Numbered memo 2022, the return deadline for mailed civilian absentee ballots in 2020. It will extend the deadline for postmarked ballots to Thursday, which we already discussed, and will define the postmark to include ballot tracks and other tracking services. Now, these have not been issued yet. Memo 2020, that should be 2020.
So these are pending,
Yes.
and they're pending on the final vote by the board, or?
I think that they're pending on legal action, is my understanding.
So they're
Rulings.
anticipating the outcome of legal action and writing the memos ahead of time? All we need to know is that these are here, but they're not fully adopted yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the rule says they stand right now at this moment.
So number memo 23, in-person return of absentee ballots will potentially modify the written log requirement in the 2020 election. Election staff would potentially ask a person if their name or whether they're related to the voter or legal guardian. The staffer would write down the information on the log, like the voters do it now. And this applies to one-stop location and the county board office. We are not encouraging people to take their absentee ballots back to one stop. We set up the tent here, we're encouraging them to bring the ballots in. Okay, now that was all from that past memo. Can we go back?
Yes. There we go.
Okay, this is numbered memo 2025. You've already gotten this. This is a very lengthy email. I hope you've had the opportunity to read this, and this is just going to reiterate what you've read. Okay, general requirements. Meetings are held every Tuesday beginning today. Our meetings on Tuesday are at 1 o'clock. We may make time early or later. We did that. We must publish a notice. We did that. It's by October 4th. I've already published it because the way I felt was we were already meeting. Public needed to know it. Also, notice to the notice list, which I think I did. If I didn't, I did. Must hold meeting if you have received absentee ballots since the last meeting. In other words, if there's a time that we don't receive any absentee ballots, then you won't have to come. Don't count on that. If you cannot complete the review of all ballots at a meeting, you may recess to a time and date certain. Just hold up there. Okay, what that means is once we begin count, it has to be a continuous count. And that's never been our process before. We've always done it on a separate day, which is what we've already posted. So that's why when we leave today, we won't adjourn. We will recess to our posted meeting for Thursday. We'll come in at 9 o'clock and we will begin the process of doing ballots. unless you want to do something different.
So, go ahead.
We come back this Thursday?
We come back every Thursday, except for the 15th.
And so on Tuesdays, we are,
On Tuesdays, we approve the applications.
yes,
We approve them. You do your spot checking. We'll go through this. You do your spot checking. You make sure you've got everybody on the list. We're in line. And then we start opening when you get here, or at least 2 members get here on Thursday morning. We'll start opening. This is the high-speed letter opener that I purchased. And it goes, I mean, I haven't seen it too many times, but it goes pretty quickly. We're getting a whole bucket of mailing every day. So when we get here, we'll start pulling those out with you. We'll give everybody stacks. We'll separate the ballots from the envelopes. We're still going to run them by precinct so that we can have our checks and balances to make sure that we have exactly what we're supposed to have. And hopefully it will not take over 12 hours the
I guess
first time.
my question is, what's the difference between the Tuesday and the Thursday meeting?
Tuesday, we're not going to open envelopes
Okay.
because once we start opening envelopes, we can't leave.
You can't leave, okay. And so what time on Thursday?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Okay. County board attendance must have a quorum present. If scanning is taking place at a meeting, which will be on Thursday,
Mhm.
you must have at least 1 board member from each political party present. And if that's not possible, if something happens and everybody from your party is sick, you can have your party chair as a representative. They will not have a decision-making process. They'll be here signing as a witness. Okay, have board members of both parties present, if at all possible, when approving absentee ballots. And that's the Thursday, Tuesday. A quorum must be physically present to review physical
Kathy.
documents.
Kathy,
Yes? Yes?
Yes, Ben? Ben?
Okay, quorum must be physically present. We have a quorum, and we must have that every Tuesday. We must have at least 3 of you every Tuesday.
Mhm.
Wear face masks, socially distance, and hand hygiene. I didn't tell you, there's sanitizer on the table. Once we start managing ballots, hand sanitizer, excessive hand sanitizer, when you do it, dry your hands. When you use your sanitizer, dry your
I think
hands.
I'm running a little behind, but I think, can I hang up and you call me if you need my voice?
Yes, Ben, thank you.
Okay, public attendance. Use meeting room large enough to accommodate members of the public or political party representatives with social distancing. If a room is not large enough, which is here, you must stream board meetings on video feed, which Scott and Judson have set up for us. The county board use video service permitted by county IT, which we have done, and the video feed must not disclose confidential information or voting ballots. Okay. Confidentiality of the absentee register. Absentee register is confidential and not a public record until election day. The county board may not release copies of absentee request forms or information that could be issued to determine that a voter requested an absentee ballot. But absentee request data is no longer confidential when the ballot is returned to the County Board of Elections office. Therefore, names of absentee voters may be read aloud during the absentee board meetings as the ballot has been returned to the County Board of Elections at that point. So once you've signed off on it, if you say someone's name, that's okay. If you have not signed off on it, if it's a cure, for instance, that we're having an issue with and we have to discuss it with you, we will have to give you the envelope or give you a piece of paper with the voter's name on it so that it's not public record. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, delegation to the staff of preparatory steps. Trained staff must inspect envelopes as they come in as required by memo 2020-19, which is the one we just discussed. Staff should also sort envelopes into categories for board review, and we sort ours by precinct. Staff verify the list of ballot envelopes against the absentee poll book, and the staff may perform ballot duplication as delegated by the board. Board deliberation. The board may, by majority vote, determine that they will not review individual ballot envelopes that have been recommended by the staff for approval. It must include a spot check by the board of envelopes to ensure accuracy and consistency. Or you may determine to use a bipartisan team of board members for individual review of absentee ballot envelopes. The board must individually review ballots that, one, have been recommended for disapproval by the staff. These ballots are referenced in section 2.2 of memo 2019 that we just went over. You must review envelopes that have a cure certification that has been received back from the voter. In other words, if we get the cure certification back, we can't just put that in the ready to go pack. You've got to look at those and say, yes, they cured the signature. It wasn't on the envelope, and now it is. Okay, or if there's something that the staff needs further guidance from you all, that's cool. And I think we have one of those already. Okay, scanning of the absentee ballots, that's through the tabulator, the big tabulator. The following must occur in a board meeting. That's in a meeting like this. Opening the envelopes, removing the ballots, and scanning the ballots. The county board must adopt a resolution to scan ballots prior to election day, which we've already done. The county board must have board members of both parties present for scanning. If that's not possible, have the party representative as an observer. By statute, these actions must occur in the same meeting as the ballot envelopes are approved, unless the county board waits until election to begin opening and scanning, which is not recommended because it would take days. It is not possible to complete in the same meeting, may recess to take to time and date certain. And that's what we've given that time and date. Counting on election day. For civilian ballots, begin at 5 o'clock or adopt a resolution to begin at 2, which we did. We will do it begin at 2 o'clock. And at this meeting, count all ballots received by 5 o'clock on the day before the election, which is, when you come in at your Monday meeting at 5 o'clock, that's what you're signing. You may run the totals upon completion. Do not release any results prior to the close of the polls, which we have never done and will not take up that process this time. Ballot duplication. For Cuyahoga ballots and ballots that have been damaged or otherwise cannot be tabulated, you can duplicate. You must adopt a policy to allow ballot duplication outside of the board meeting. Use bipartisan team with 3 or 4 members. Attach duplicated ballot to the original ballot. And we made in, was it this year? Excuse me. We made the stamps where it said original and duplicate. So we've got those. The board must review duplicated ballots in the absentee meeting, and the best practice is to have a duplication team at the board meeting. Control of the board meeting. The county board has responsibility to maintain control of the meeting, to ensure the public and political parties receive proper notice of the meeting. Do not permit public comment or interruption while absentee envelopes are being approved, duplicated, sorted, or scanned. In other words, even if we had somebody here, they could not say anything. That is a board duty and a board responsibility that is not allowed by law for interaction from the public. The chair should provide explanation to this at the start of meeting, and I say at the start of each meeting, so that everybody's familiar. You may allow the public to comment at a specific part of the meeting, but that is not required. The goal is total reconciliation. Sample log is they provided that in a minute. Important reminder. Please remember that the state board has general oversight over elections in North Carolina and is responsible for providing guidance to county board members and for appointing and removing them. General Statute 163.22 references that. Please also remember that the guidance sent to you or your board members by a political party or other source should not be considered or followed. In other words, follow the law, the numbered memos that the state has issued. So the screen says, work with and have confidence
Can I read
in
it?
your director and staff. Yes, you can read it.
Work with and have confidence in your director and staff. They are working extremely hard.
Yes.
Okay. So, that's the memo that was presented, they wanted us to work with. And also, I have a resolution. Did you put that in? Okay. Whew. Anybody else want to read the resolution?
I'll read it. Resolution of the Alamance County Board of Elections regarding delegation to staff of preparatory steps for absentee ballot in the November 3rd, 2020 general election. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections hereby delegates to its director and staff so much of the administrative detail of the election functions, duties, and work of the board, its officers and members, as is now or may hereafter be vested in the board or its members as the County Board of Elections may see fit. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections may not delegate to its director or other staff any of its quasi-judicial or policy-making duties and authority. Whereas the Alamance County Board has by precedent and prior resolution or motion delegated many administrative duties to the director and staff during those related to NCGS 163 subchapter 7 absentee voting, and whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections delegates the following specific preparatory steps as provided in numbered memo 2020-25 that staff can perform prior to absentee board meetings, and a delegation provide for oversight by the board. Number 1, inspect container return envelopes for deficiencies and contacting voters as required by numbered memo 2020-19, revised September 22nd, 2020. Sorting container return envelopes into categories for the board to review and approve. Number 3, verifying the list of ballot envelopes against the absentee poll book. And number 4, performing ballot duplication. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections will spot check ballot envelopes that have been reviewed and recommended by staff for approval and can accept staff's recommendations for those ballot envelopes. Each board member will be given a separate stack of pre-approved envelopes to spot check for accuracy and consistency, or the members can randomly select a ballot to be reviewed from the list of returned absentee ballots prepared for board approval. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections must individually review all ballot envelopes that 1, have been recommended for disapproval by staff, 2, have a cure certification associated with that ballot envelope, or 3, where staff needs further guidance from the board as to whether the envelope is properly executed. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections shall have a quorum of 3 members physically present, with at least 1 member from each political party represented at each absentee meeting to approve or disapprove whether an envelope is properly executed by a vote of the board as a whole. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections will sign a cover sheet containing a list of envelopes that were acted upon during each meeting and indicating whether they were approved or disapproved in lieu of signing the individual envelopes. This may also apply to the review and approval of one-stop absentee applications. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections authorizes the counting of approved ballots during absentee board meetings in accordance with the rules as provided in numbered memo 2020-25, instead of waiting until election day due to the significant increase in absentee ballots this election. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections shall have a majority of the board members and at least 1 board member of each political party in attendance before the counting can commence. If a board member of each political party is not available, the chair or other member of the executive committee of the county political party may serve as an official witness to the counting and shall sign the absentee ballot abstract as an observer. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections shall observe and supervise the opening of the envelopes and counting of the ballots as the approved ballots are entered into the tabulator by staff. It is not permissible for approved ballot envelopes to be opened, removed from the envelope, or for ballots to be inserted into the tabulator outside of a board meeting. Whereas the Alamance County Board of Elections authorizes a bipartisan team of staff members to duplicate ballots outside of an absentee board meeting in accordance with the rules and procedures as provided in numbered memo 2020-25. Therefore, be it hereby resolved that the delegation to staff of preparatory steps for absentee ballots be effective for the November 3rd, 2020 general election.
Okay, I want to just, where it keeps talking about duplicating ballots, those are the ballots that we received over the internet. It's a secure site from overseas, military, and people, voters. So that's what comes on our computer, so we're duplicating that. And you will get the original ballot that comes, that's what she's going for, printed that off, and gives you the original and the duplicated ballot for you to look at. So you're just getting, that when it's saying duplicate ballots, that's what you're getting this permission. All right, so you need to make a, that has to be a vote, and I'll try to get Ben on the phone so he can be involved in the vote. You want to hold it just a half a second?
Yes, hello.
Hello, Ben, were you able to hear the reading of that resolution?
Yes, I hear it, but I think I have a delay.
You do, but anyway, we're needing to vote on the resolution, so I wanted you to be present during the vote.
Okay.
So if somebody wants to make a motion,
You have heard the reading of the resolution of the absentee process. We'll entertain a motion at this time to approve.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second that we approve the resolution. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposers signify by saying no. Motion carries.
so that's a unanimous vote.
Yes.
Okay, then I'm gonna hang up from you again, okay?
Okay.
I'll call you back if we need you. As long as we are doing the online meetings, I would suggest that every meeting, which we didn't start it off that way, but I would suggest at every meeting that you introduce yourself by name so the public knows, because it's hard to, the math complicate things. So, and that, then we talked about that at the end of today, we will recess the meeting until Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. We will come back together, we will process the ballots, and we will stay until the ballots are completed, whether it's 10, 11, 12, whatever, not in the morning at night. And we could recess for the next day to Friday, if we want to recess again. And we feasibly may have to do that this first meeting, because we last check I had from Dawn, I know we had close to 5,000. So I'm not sure how fast that's going to flow. We'll have to see. We're in it together, and we knew it was going to be hard this year, and we're here together. We'll take care of it. We'll get it done. We're public servants, and that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to get Dawn and bring her in for the start of the approval of the absentee ballot application.
Okay.
Okay, here's our list of absentees that have come back, that we have went through, and these all have the proper signatures and witness signatures and addresses and everything. So this is our list. Y'all want to pass that around, and it's a total with military and civilian and overseas. We have 4,864 that's on that list. As of right now, we have 169 that are pending cures. That's the letters that we've mailed out because they didn't sign or didn't get the proper signatures. We've spoiled like 31. That's for Some people have mailed us back their ballot in little envelopes like this, saying that they couldn't fit them in the envelopes we mailed them. You know, so they didn't send them back in proper envelopes. So we spoiled them and mailed them new ballots.
The envelopes that they were in were the envelopes that had been sent by, groups to send in the, request for absentee ballots. It had paid postage on it, and so that's our thinking that maybe they, but it didn't have witness or any of the other things. It wasn't probably.
We've had over valid requests, we've had 15,639 as of an hour ago, and we probably have a couple hundred come in today. So these are valid. What I mean by that, we've also had 998 duplicates. That's people that, every time they get one, they fill it out and send it in. So any over one valid, they all go under duplicate.
Duplicate requests,
Yeah, duplicate requests.
not duplicate ballots.
No, we only send one ballot. And these right here are ones that were pending cures, and we mailed the letter, and as of just probably 5 minutes ago, because I printed some off that people have emailed them back. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 17. Out of the 169, here's 17 who's sent back their letters. So if y'all, I'm gonna pass these around, and y'all just approve them. I mean, these are not on this list because these were pending y'all's approval. These, if y'all approve them, they'll be on next week's list. Okay.
So that's 17 out of the 169 pending.
Right. But y'all don't have to sign those or anything. I just thought y'all would need to.
And also, here's your resolution to sign.
I'm sorry, I've been sitting so long. Feels good to stand. But thank you.
I get it.
Those are good figures, Dawn. Thank you for providing us with those. I know the board was interested to see here how many we've done. So we've, out of what we've sent back, we've gotten back, what, a third? Roughly. That's a little.
At this point, do they just look through the list and,
Do you, I'm curious, the envelope that you had, I'd like to make a ruling on this because this is something that could potentially happen again. It says that we can't accept envelopes that have been opened. That one envelope that you had that had been chewed, but it had not been completely opened, do you have that where you can put your hand on it?
I don't even know, I'm sorry. I don't know which, because I talked to you when we talked about it.
Because there was something else wrong with it, so it
But
had
you
to
said,
be.
I remember you said with a ballot, it looks good, so that'll be okay. I mean, and so I just put it in with, I don't remember which,
The mail has gnawed up some, and we've had to send them out, again. But some of them it's just kind of gnawed a little bit across the top. And you can see like the very top of the ballot, you can't see anything that's been voted, but it's not torn, the ballot's not torn. The envelope's not completely open by any stretch of the imagination. You know, it wasn't hanging on like one thread and then you could open it up. It's just like, you know, when you skin your knee, how you get little skid marks across it, it's kind of like that. And so I've told her to go ahead and accept those instead of sending them back if there's no other choice. Is that acceptable to you?
Yes. Yes.
We've had one, this one right here, it had been returned, and then the other day when I was running our report for our list, I noticed I had one that didn't have a precinct to it. So I looked him up. Well, he had registered at the same time he requested a ballot. His registration was denied, and there's no way to get in touch with him. So I don't, unless he calls us, as of right now, you know, his registration, his ballot. If he calls, we'll get him to re-register, and then we can process another ballot for him.
Why was his ballot, why was his registration denied?
His address
It's verified.
didn't validate, yeah. They sent out 2 mailings, and the date came back undeliverable. Now, this is one we wasn't sure about. This is a lady received this ballot in the mail with her mail. It should have came here, and she was nice enough to hand deliver it here. So, this was, you know, y'all's board decision as to this ballot.
In other words, it doesn't meet the qualifications for somebody bringing back a new relative. However, it's an extenuating circumstance, my mail ended up in Noah's mailbox.
Yeah.
And Noah was kind enough to bring it in to see that it got to the right place. So it's no fault of the voter.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So we can accept this.
I say yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That'll be in next week's, I'll say. We had 2 returned. Would y'all like to look at these and guess why we spoiled them? Y'all,
They can have them, they can have some.
yeah, y'all can pass them around. Y'all tell me why we're spoiled.
No ballots?
Well, I wrote that on there.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good indication why it's full.
So I did spoil those and reissue new
That's
ballots.
good. That's good.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's got us excited, didn't put them in there now.
And then what we were talking about, this is the size ballot, the envelope that the lady mailed. We've had several mail them back in this because they said they wouldn't fit in these. Okay. This is the one she told me wouldn't fit in that. So I spoiled this ballot and reissued her a new one and explained to her that they had to be returned in these, you know, with the signatures and the witness signatures. So, that's most of my issues that I've had, you know. Yeah. So, now, the spot checking, if y'all just want to look at those lists and tell me a precinct and some names, I'll go pull them, and y'all can spot check behind us.
You can do that, or she can grab, like, out of a precinct, she can
Yeah.
grab a handful, and you can look at that handful. You know,
Yeah.
just give her a random precinct, she can pull.
Yeah.
Just whatever you want to do, it's your choice. And you
Yeah.
can do it differently in each meeting, whatever suits you.
Okay.
Easier on staff, it doesn't matter.
You just want her to just go pull, okay?
Burlington 5.
Burlington
Okay.
5.
Good job.
You learned that method in law school?
Yeah.
I want to
Pass
turn
the
this,
bar.
Usually what attorneys do, they'll look your fingers and hold up. That's what judges do.
I've had too many of those.
Not now.
We're live, folks, we just got to.
Not now.
So the other thing that will be, and I think I put it on the agenda, approval of chief judge and judge replacements. Jeanette's preparing for that, she'll do that after, this segment, when we kind of
Just grab the handful, so I could go. Start making some. That's some more. Maybe I should have just saved everybody a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm getting ready to do.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
do you want to go over what should be on the ballot again with him?
Yeah,
Or
what we're
on the-
looking for is we make sure that that name matches this name. And then that the witness has printed, signed, and put their address. They can use a PO box, it doesn't have to be their actual physical address. They can put, the address and a zip code. They don't have to put the complete, like 115 South Maple Street, Graham, North Carolina. As long as we can tell where it's located at.
The witnesses, as long as they've got the street address and you can determine that it is a specific city, then it's okay.
Right.
Okay, okay.
And their address does not have to be in Alabama County, right?
No, they can be, anywhere, as long as they're over 18 years old. But we don't have a grade.
He's looked up. Good, good.
Good.
Y'all want to see another precinct?
Are we comfortable with the precinct that she's pulled, or do you want to see another precinct? I think I think it's been determined we're comfortable with what we've seen already. Thank you.
Are they gonna sign the last page of this, or?
I tell you what, just as so many pages of it, I'd say to sign the last and the front.
Okay. Just,
You can sign
I
on
like the last in the front.
yeah,
Do the front, the last one in front?
and you can maybe initial the front and sign the last one.
There you go.
Okay.
That'll work.
Wear out all your signs in one place. As you sign that, I will tell you, about that we have, prepared online training for our precinct officials. We have modules that have been established. We work through Elon University. I tried to email that to y'all. I don't know if it went through.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
you
is.
did.
So
It
I was
is.
really excited about that. I tried to post that to our Facebook page. I'm not really good about that. Judson's with me. He's trying to work that out. So we've got the online module. We've got tests that we've set up. So the officials have to take a test at the end of the year, to let us, that's what I see.
Mm-hmm.
To let us know that they're gleaning the information. There's some videos involved. What we're going to do is bring the new people, the brand new precinct officials, we're going to bring them in for small classes. Just to make sure that they understood, if they had any questions about the information. Even after they take the test, they still can have additional questions. So that's our training protocol for this election.
Okay.
For One Stop, we are bringing, for early voting, we're bringing everybody in and training them in person. So because we have a lot of officials from election day that are working early voting, I feel like that's a benefit. They're already in the swing of things, and they know what, and get some experience with that. So that's our training protocol for this time. I will send you the training links. I'd love for you to take the courses and see how much you know, see if you pass, and to see if you think it's enough. I want to make sure that you feel comfortable with it being enough for the workers who have worked before to do that and go through that process. We sent them, or we provided for them their training manual, the one that we give out at the big training class. We've provided copies of the slides in the online training. We've provided the quizzes in hard copy, and what else? Anything else?
Machine manuals.
The voting machine manuals. We've given them everything in hard copy that we've got online. So if they, I think we're probably going to have a certain portion that maybe doesn't have a computer. And if they don't feel comfortable reading it and learning it, then they still have to do the test, the hard copy. But if they want to come, we're going to have set up at the library a couple of days where they can come and watch the video. So we're trying to provide as much as we can in the midst of everything else. So, any questions about that? Can you get Jeanette so we're ready to help? Okay, as far as Thursday, that will be probably one of the worst days as far as time spent and needing to go quickly and get through. So how do you want us to plan lunches? I mean, if we take an hour off for lunch, an hour off for supper, that's 2 hours work. Does that make sense? Would you feel comfortable with, just going somewhere and getting away for 30 minutes at lunch and coming back? Is that enough time for y'all?
Yeah.
Grab something to eat and come back? Or we can take, Ryan?
Well, I just, I'm probably gonna be about 45 minutes late. I mean, I can be here soon. I've just got one quick thing.
Dan, you gonna be here?
I'll be.
Okay, that's all it needs to make sure one of the
You
two.
know, once I get out of there, I can be here till 10 at night.
Should we eat in shifts so that we can keep the process going as long as we got the proper number of people?
We can absolutely do that. That's an excellent idea, Noah. We can certainly do that.
Okay, so can I eat at 12 so I can run to another meeting and then come back? Well, no, I can do the meeting out in my car.
She has all these people coming in. I'm helping her now, so she's
Okay, she'll be discussing this. So we
Yeah,
can
I can do it on the phone. I can sit in my car, on my phone and do it.
That's fine. We can, we're doing some Zoom filming, so we're gonna, the match.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Excuse me. Don?
We just have to have 3 members
Right.
with both parties represented.
So the 3 of you all here, if I had to leave out
Yep.
for a 12 o'clock meeting, I can come back.
Yeah, we should be
But-
good.
Yeah. you're
I just
good.
know that there's no way I can be here Friday.
I would have to, it would be a long chain of requests I'd have to make to be here on Friday too. So.
Right, so we could just stay here
As long as we need on
on
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, we should be able to get through 4,864.
I guess we need to tell.
I think we can do that.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I failed to put on the agenda, you need to approve the multi-partisan assistance team members. We've had 5 members submitted. I can't remember what the party breakdown is, 2 and 3. Don't remember which one had 2 or 3. So we have had a limited number of requests from facilities. We've checked with the facilities and see what their COVID processes are. We've got people meetings for our people that we send out. Of course, the facility will be responsible for providing the PPE for their people that are with them and the residents. So you'll need to approve those notes. Y'all can get those. Hello?
So does that mean we've had 5 people apply to be on the MAT team in the county?
Not 5 people that have applied, but 5 people that have been appointed from the parties.
Gotcha.
The parties have to appoint them, and you have to approve.
Right.
I think
And so 5 people creates one team?
there
Or,
are 2 people created things.
okay,
Mhm. Yeah, one from each party.
Ben has questions about the sizes of the envelopes. I'm gonna call him and see what his question is.
Hello?
I'm sorry, I just saw your text. You said you had questions about the size of the envelope?
Yeah, I was going to, yeah, that's because of what Dawn said, that some people didn't think they fit in the envelope, and I thought, I don't know if those envelopes are chosen by the state.
That, the ones that they're putting the ballots in are not chosen by the state.
Well, and
The
the good
ones-
thing is, they're not folded envelopes, they're glued on the side. Anyway, it is a tight fit to get the ballot in there.
Well, there's more room to put the ballot in the envelope that's provided by the state than there is to put the ballot in the envelope that they've returned the ballot in. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
They had to probably fold the ballot into the envelope that they returned 4
yeah, the
times.
one Caroline got was folded in 4 quarters. The way it came was folded over and over, and it fit in the envelope.
he's
But
talking
it was a
about
tight fit.
the absentee ballot request form, I believe.
Anyway,
Are
I'm
you
not just gonna wait. I'd like to talk about it after the election.
Well, are you talking about the request form or the ballot? Because the ballots we sent out are trifold. And they fit very easily in the return envelope.
Trifold, well, Caroline's it was folded over and over, like quarters. Did your people fold them when they sent them out?
Now, we had the ballots pre-folded and they're folded into thirds.
Into thirds? Oh, it's not what I thought I saw, but anyway. Okay, but I'll talk about it later. I just put that in as sort of supporting the person that Dawn talked about.
Okay.
Used another envelope.
But they had more trouble to get it in the envelope that they sent it in than the one that they should have sent it in. It was more of an effort to get it in the one they returned it in. That one didn't have enough room.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll let it go with that.
Yeah, we'll save that for you to look at next week, because we have to
Okay,
keep it.
thanks.
We'll save it for you to see it.
Right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, some didn't have room for signatures or anything, right?
No, it was just an envelope.
Right.
I'm going to have my piece, it's an envelope. I'll show you how I do it next week. Here, do you have anything? Will you put me in the office? This is the way that, now, well, they are folded in. They're folded like that. I saw thirds with that. But either way, they're folded already. They're neatly folded, and they fit, inside. There's plenty of room. That's inside.
Well, they really had to fold that to put it in a small envelope.
See, that's what I said, there's more trouble to get it in that little envelope than it was to get it in there.
Yeah.
So Ben, if you can hear me, you're right, it was folded 4 directions. But it's folded in half, so they were, I say professionally folded, they were folded by a piece of equipment.
Yeah. Mhm.
saved us some trouble, because if you'll notice, you know how we have that CID number to write?
Yes.
They folded it so that that's right there, so we didn't have to unfold the ballot. We just wrote on there and put it in.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it.
Here is a list of the 5 people who the Democrats and Republicans have said would be willing to help with the MAT team. We're going to meet with them tomorrow through Zoom. Because I've already got I've got about 3 or 4 care facilities lined up for them to visit already. That's been calling and more calling. So I'm just going to pass that around. Y'all will.
Y'all, we'll need a motion for that.
Okay.
Justin, will you remember to send the board members training information, please?
Yes.
Okay, we have reviewed, the recommendations for, members of the MAT team submitted by both parties. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve, the MAT team.
A motion?
Properly moved in second that we approve, the recommended MAT team. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, and signify by saying no. Motion carries. Kathy, do we need to sign this?
If you would, please. Thursday will be October.
Yeah, it's been a fast month.
Okay, if you'll remember, Jeanette, she does our precinct officials and well, first of all, before we go any further, I'd like for y'all to please thank Dawn, who has worked tirelessly getting the absentee ballots organized out to the workers. I mean, she has overseen the whole process. It's been, no, you've overseen the absentee ballot process.
Oh, I thought you were saying
No, she-
the precinct. I'm sorry.
But Dawn has been a leader in getting that done. She has supervised the people who have, when we had to pull a whole group of people together, 25 people plus, to get them out that week where we didn't get the envelopes until the day before they were supposed to go out, literally. Dawn pulled it all together.
Everybody's worked, everybody. We all.
We want to express our thanks to you for getting it done.
Thank you, Dawn. for
You're
all of
welcome.
Thank you, Dawn.
Everybody really has pulled we've all just worked together.
And so Jeanette, while we're on thank you, I'd like to say Jeanette has worked her fingers to the bone, getting precinct workers, calling workers, talking to them about concerns with the virus, concerns about, what we're going to provide to them as far as PPE. She's worked getting election day workers, one-stop workers, backup workers, vaccine workers. She has really stayed on the phone, and she has worked hard organizing the workers that we have at the tent. And I didn't mention to you about the tent. About 2 weeks before we started to mail out, I got the feeling that, we're getting all these in, they're going to come back. And we needed to push to bring them back to the office, so I called the facilities department. We put up a tent out there. And we have about 2 people there. They stay, some of them stay more than 3 hour minimum. taken into the ballots, and we keep them in a locked ballot bag, and we bring it in, if it's raining, we bring it in every hour to trade them out so they don't get moist. But Jeanette has managed the staffing for that as well, and staffing for in the office.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate all of your hard work, Jeanette.
You can see by the list, the numerous people that we had to quit or couldn't work for some reason or another, so. And I'm thankful to Dan Ingle's daughter, who's just gonna help us out as a judge.
If she's a teacher, they've got they're off that day, election day, so she saw the opportunity to make a little bit of money.
Well, the state has given, state employees permission to use one of their personal candidates as an election day. Or election day as one of their personal days.
Okay, did you do the list or did they?
You don't have to, I mean, do y'all just want to look at the list individually and then approve it?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I did one of those.
Oh, thank you.
You made his one too, just,
I got to
Okay.
Oh, wait, yeah, you,
just
I
to
was gonna
see,
say-
yeah, I just got a new chief judge today, so, and that's where maybe the wrong, okay?
okay, that sounds good. I'll get those in there.
Okay,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And if you see, if it says temp, that means you've already appointed them and they intend to come back the next election. If it's permanent, then they just, I'm not coming back in. And the party, if it has party beside of it, that means that we had to have a specific party that's represented in the precinct.
What's CJ in parentheses under worker to be replaced?
Chief Judge. Linda Fisher took the chief judge position at Twin Lakes because we're trying to keep everybody at Twin Lakes on property rather than bringing people on. She has been a judge and a chief judge and an assistant. She's worked many times. And she's now living at Twin Lakes.
Kathy, you need us to sign one of these.
Yes.
So do we need to approve it first?
Yes. And I have a, I'm gonna ask her, I just saw something that I think could work out, y'all hold up for a minute. Jeanette? Jeanette? Don't sign this one, there's one change. I thought I had something worked out, but you already used it somewhere.
Good.
You don't want us to sign this one?
There's one change. She had that one fellow that, the fellow that we moved, that is an off-campus person at Twin Lakes. I didn't see him listed anywhere, and I said, well, we can put him at one of the right places. But she has signed it already.
Well, I see one of my professors at Elon going off, and I see another one of my professors at Elon coming on, so. Losing one of my political science professors and gaining my early colonial literature professor.
So we have set up a Facebook page, and I may or may not have sent you the link, but if you could link to it and share it so we can get out as much information as possible. And also I encourage you to reference our website. the link to this meeting is on the website. The link for the precinct changes, the COVID precinct changes to the schools, that's on there. So just encourage you to try to get out as much information as you can about what we're doing.
I never sent you the email to remind you about the absentee ballot request portal being on there. Did it get on there?
May I introduce to you Judson? Judson, excuse me.
Well, I'm the new IT guy, and also logistics, anything basically that's needed. I was a web development consultant up in Washington D.C. and came back down here, and now decided to apply my talents to the polling place. So,
Thank you.
absolutely. What was the question again?
Now, the absentee, link to the absentee portal, has it been put on the website?
Yes, it should be under voter information right now. There is a little link under the banner that says voter.
Yeah.
And I believe it's either the first or the second link. Oh no, it's not the first or the second link. There will be a small block of links, and then the second little block of links, those are the links that you want.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And I had a question. Does that only track if you've applied through the portal, or will it track your?
The ballot track tracks however you do it.
So if before the ballot track is open, you mailed in an absentee ballot request, you can still go on ballot tracks and find.
I think so. Darren, do you know?
I don't know for sure.
I would imagine because that would single out people and not give them the same opportunity. So I
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
it would. Okay, she added in Graham Ford, Donald Burton, who was at North Boone too.
Graham Ford.
She added that in. The person that was was the chief judge at Twin Lakes. All-campus person, he's going to fill in for the worker who was at Graham Ford.
Okay, we have reviewed, the list of chief judges and judge replacements, and we'll entertain a motion at this time, to approve, the list of, chief judges and any judges that we've had to replace.
So moved.
Second.
It's properly moved and second that, we approve the list of, chief judges and the judge replacement. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, signify by saying no. Motion carries. Have we just need to sign one of these?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do y'all mind if I get your pictures? I'll promote our Facebook page.
You want me to smile?
Great job. Sitting inside.
Smile with my mask on.
Great. Thank you.
It's a resolution.
appeal, we're still gonna learn that.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, we're down to other business.
Well, the only thing I had else to tell you was about the online training, and then fortunately I remembered the back team for you to do that, so we can get that, started tomorrow. Do any other members have business?
So the Tuesday meetings will be business meetings, and the Thursday meetings will be absentee meetings, or will be doing?
They're both absentee meetings, because it's essentially one meeting that's being recessed to the next day, so it's all an absentee.
All right, but we won't be opening ballots, absentees on
Tuesday.
Tuesdays, we'll only be doing that on Thursdays?
That's correct. Unless we should by some chance not get like thousands, and we feel like we can do it on a Tuesday, you know, that's a possibility, and then we can cancel the Thursday, but I don't foresee that happening.
And normally, we would only be doing this the day before election day meeting, but when?
We've always had these meetings. It hasn't been 5 of them, and we haven't traditionally had 2 a week and it's all because of the volume.
Yeah, so usually we would just have one of these.
You would have 3 of these 3 weeks prior to election day.
Yeah.
But the state mandated we start 5 weeks prior.
Okay.
This is our normal absentee meeting that we traditionally had. We're just having 2 more, we're starting 2 weeks early, and we're having an additional meeting that's involved.
So normally there would be no Thursday meetings, we would just be.
In presidential years, yes, we have, we've traditionally had the meeting on Friday, but because of the volume, I figure if we can't get it all done on Thursday, then we have to go into Friday.
Okay. Yes, yes.
Looks like it's coming in pretty well. I figured right, we've already received about 32% of what we've sent out back. 4,864 out of 15,639. So that's a good sign. If we can do that continue.
And the tent out there helps a lot, and it's been wonderful. It's a constant flow. Rainy days are bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Encourage people, if it's raining, don't come that day.
Yeah, we need to get them in. We need to get these in, the sooner we get them in, the better.
Because we can only let so many people, we can only let 2 people in the lobby at a time,
Right.
Yeah.
2 public. And, you know, they're having to stand outside in the rain under the tent. So, we just encourage everybody. There's plenty of pretty days.
So there's 2 advantages out there. One is just it's open air, and 2 is you can handle more people at the same time because there's not limited to the number. I guess towards the same thing, but. Yeah.
And we still set 6-foot distance out there. We still require masks,
Yeah.
you know, to bring it back. Our staff wears masks, but at least it's open air and, you know, it's more room.
Yeah.
You can get more people in at one time.
I had a question from someone. She was living out of the country, and so she requested an absentee ballot. She has since moved back here. Should she use the ballot that you sent her?
Let's give Dawn the opportunity to answer that question.
Thank you.
So she's already received a ballot?
Yes.
Hey, we've been blessed with a good staff, you know.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Kathy and Dawn, they do outstanding work.
Always a step ahead.
Yes, sir.
We were just complimenting you when you were not here.
Bragging on you, said we've been blessed with an outstanding staff, Kathy and Dawn, our employees.
Dorothy has a question. I wasn't going to answer him for.
Okay.
Positive.
The person was living out of the country.
Okay,
She has since moved back here.
okay.
She did receive her absentee requested and did receive the absentee ballot. Should she use the ballot that she received that when she was out of the
No, just tell her, just disregard that, and just, she's back in Alamance County.
Yes.
Okay, she'll just go vote early or go vote election day.
Or could she request another absentee ballot?
Yeah, she could request another absentee as a civilian.
Okay.
They're different, because probably most likely, I'm not saying I did, but most likely I probably emailed that to her, her ballot to her because she was overseas. 99% of them get an email. I can't email a civilian, like none of us, I could email. You have to be overseas or in the military
Okay,
in order to get an email. So if she requested one and requested it to be emailed, she couldn't, and she's back here now.
yeah,
She just need, tell her it's a different type of absentee.
Okay. okay.
You know, but, I mean,
You can spoil that one and you'll send her
more
another one.
notice, yes.
Okay.
If she wants to do another absentee.
Got
If not, she can go early or election day.
it. Thank you.
Okay?
Okay, is there any other business to come before this board today? Hearing none, we are recessed until Thursday morning at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job. Like you done that before, though.